Hello again, Simone of the future. You may be supposed to be presenting your real paper one exam, so good luck with that. I'm going to give a little bit of feedback on your mock, your first mock in 11th grade of the paper one. Personally, I think that you did a lot more better on this one than on the one of 10th grade. However, there's a lot of things to work on. As you see in the criteria, you got a 3 plus, that's really close to be a 4, and that's what you gave yourself on the criteria, which is a good understanding of the text and their context and purpose, and the similarities and difference between them. Comments are mostly supported by well-chosen references. So you mainly support your arguments. However, you need to develop a little bit on this, taking into account Mr. Ordóñez gave you the opportunity to have access to the text before the exam. In the real one, you will have to read them on the time you have. So this needs to be a lot higher for you to expect good results on the real exam. So my first advice for you is to really read carefully the texts, and once you read, you select your references that you're gonna use to compare and contrast the text effectively. Okay, I'm going to use one of the samples that Ordóñez gave you to grade, and this one was one of the ones that got higher marks. So this should help you to develop your work. Okay, so remember that in this, for you to understand, remember that this text was an article from a newspaper, I think, and it's talking about the Bernie Ecclestone daughters and how they manage their fortune not wisely. And this one is like a kind of interview. No, the first one is an interview, and this one is a fake conversation in a website article. That's a conversation between a daughter who's the owner, who works on a bank, and her conversation with her father. Okay, so first of all, you see that the introductions here are quite similar. They are short and straight to the point. Another thing to mention is that I think that it's more organized and you understand most the method by element, so keep using it. But for example, here you see that in this introduction, it starts talking about both texts and using both texts share the purpose of informing, and it exposes the information, some compare and contrast basic of the two texts to open the actual writing. Here you do quite a similar thing, but you see that you use words such as a lot of similarities and some differences that you generally talk about them, but used language that's more academic. Also, the use of commas, maybe if you're writing too fast or something, you forget to use commas, so relax, read the two texts wisely, and write with the correct punctuation. This is grammar and spelling mistakes, then you need to keep develop on it, but don't use words such as I found that the purpose. Preferably you to use connectors, like by contrast of both text, right, for a similar audience, or the article C develops an idea of da da da. The interview, on the other hand, so remember to study the list of connectors that Ordóñez gave you, because that would help you a lot to start your paragraphs. Also, I think that one of the most things you need to work on is the how you develop your topic sentences, because you see that you always start or most of the times you start the paragraphs thinking what you found, what do you think, and it might be correct, but it needs to develop a little bit more, and it has to have a topic sentence that can be developed through the paragraph. And I know that when you're writing fast that's difficult, but if you have your topic sentences kind of prepared, that will help you to develop. For example, in this case, the audience in text C is defined by the type of text, because even though you need to correct this. Even though the main purpose is to reach the fathers, the audience is going to. Maybe you extend a little bit in that paragraph. Maybe you need to be more concise and go straight to the point. But the beginning of the topic sentence is correct, so do this a lot more. And yeah, okay. So also seeing the criteria in criterion B. You got a 1, really close to a 2. So there is some awareness and understanding of the use of stylistic features with new references and illustrating. So remember to use a lot of literary features in your topic sentences. That's something we train in class, and you can see the literary features you found. It's easier if it's a poem. But if it isn't, then you can have a list, like a little bit, more or less like 5 literary features that you already know, and don't look for them. Just if you read it, make sure you can identify them, and put them straight in your topic sentences. So, for example, in text C, it's evident that there is a metaphor between lines tan and tan when it says, and you quote, and then you explain through the paragraph that literary feature. Do that at least 3 or 4 or 5 times, and I know that criterion B will be fine. Of course, always remember to be aware of the effects that these literary features may have on the reader. Okay, so in criterion C, you got a 3/5, which is okay, and it was a solid 3. It wasn't a 3 that was becoming a 4, and it was the comparative analysis organized and structured in a generally coherent way. So maybe you follow correctly the element by element method, but you need to organize better your ideas, because you don't finish. You at the end, and then you speak about stylistic devices, but you have to organize better your time and organize better your topic sentences. The best advice I can give you is topic sentences are the key to organize your paper 1. And as you see in the last one, you had on language a 3 that was almost a 4. As we see through all the text, you have a lot of spelling mistakes and some grammar. And in some cases you use not academic language, so you can develop this a lot better if you work on the use of connectors first, and second, try to always be aware of the spelling, because if you read your samples, the spelling mistakes are so like they can be omitted. So you can study with the samples, and that criterion D would also be fine, because as you see, it was almost a 4, and if you do this advice, you can make that a 5 in the real one.